Hello. Let's talk a little bit about We Need Trees and how we're going to present our aims with We Need Trees in the schools. The last time I spoke with Mohammed, I spoke about a journey, a mission. So what do I mean by a journey or a mission? We're on a mission to help students come to a better understanding of the importance of trees on our planet. And we're on a journey because we really don't know what we're going to find along the way. We are going to explore together how we can go into classrooms and engage with students for them to come to their own conclusion on how they and we can take better care of our trees. So it's an exploration. There are effective ways of going about this. There are effective practices. There are no better practices than others. But we need to find out what works for us in the various schools and eventually in different settings in different countries. I suggested to Mohammed that we call ourselves facilitators. You might ask, why the term facilitator? Well, in English, a facilitator is one that paves the way, is one that eases the way. And in pedagogy, a facilitator is one who works alongside the children. It is not your traditional teacher that supposedly knows everything. We know that's not the case. So a facilitator facilitates the discussion. The facilitator asks the questions that gets the kids to start thinking for themselves. A facilitator is a guide, and the facilitator assists the learning, and the learning that the children make for themselves. That facilitator will help tease away the important ideas and help the students form new thoughts. Most importantly, have the students own their thoughts and own their learning, own the materials, and allow the students to feel that they are doing the exploration and they are then thus engaged in the dialogue. So we as facilitators introduce the ideas for discussion, and then we encourage those ideas between the students. We encourage the students to discuss those ideas amongst themselves. So what approach am I suggesting that we take, and why? Why not go into a classroom and just tell them what they need to know? Well, we know that that's not learning that sticks. Learning that sticks is learning that the students have made for themselves, have come to create for themselves. And so I'm suggesting an approach that's called dialogical discourse, but it's really something that's been around for many, many years. And it's now a common approach used in a program called Philosophy for the Children. And Philosophy for the Children is taking place in New Zealand, Australia, North America, and here in Switzerland. And it has a vast, it's very effective in allowing the children to discuss important ideas, important ethical and moral ideas. And we realize that by doing so, the children are developing to become critical thinkers. And that's what we want them to be. We want them to think for themselves and to question the why are we doing it this way. And with We Need Trees, I think we need to have the kids be critical thinkers. Why are we cutting down the trees? For what purpose? Who's benefiting from it? What happens when all the trees are cut down? So this dialogical discourse, I think, is going to be a rich approach. And for many of us, it might be new. Certainly, for many of the students that we visit, it will be a new approach. This dialogical discourse allows for a powerful kind of learning that doesn't come from being told what to think and what to say, but a learning on how to think for oneself. Now, you're going to say, well, you go in, okay, fine. What are some of the rules that you might set? What are some of the rules that we as facilitators should ensure that we have students do? Well, when I go into a classroom, I first ask the students, what sort of rules, guidelines do you think we should have and agree upon to allow for us to discuss and dialogue respectfully? And many times the kids will tell you what they've heard and what they have in class, their classroom rules. We raise our hand to talk. We wait till our turn. We listen. So accept those, because those are important. And then, if they haven't already said it, come forth with your own. For one, in order to have a dialogue, a discourse, we need to be able to see each other. We need to be able to look in each other's eyes. We don't want to be looking at someone's back, for instance. So in order to do that, what's the best way? I propose a circle. Could be a square. So if you have tables, they sit behind the chairs, but at least we can see each other. So that would be one. We need to be able to look each other in the eye when we talk to one another. We listen to what the other person has to say. So that means we don't speak at the same time as the other person is speaking, because you can only do one cognitively thing at one time. You can either speak or you can listen, but you can't process both at the same time. So we listen, which means we don't speak. The other thing is, we don't make fun of anybody's ideas. We don't laugh at their ideas. We don't put anybody down. All ideas are to be valued. And we don't make fun of people's ideas after the discussion, after I've left. And that has to be something everybody agrees upon. And then when we share something, we don't just say, I like it. Well, I don't like it. We have to tell them why we like it, why we disagree, why we don't like what the other person had to say. So we're teaching children to justify their answers. As long as they can justify, as long as they can explain why they think such and such a thing, then that's fine, we accept it. And then we teach the children to respond back to one another and said, well, I hear you say that the little boy really didn't care about the tree. But I don't agree with you. I don't agree with that statement, because the boy kept coming back to the tree. So I think the boy really did like the tree. So you get this dialogue going back and forth. So you know that the other person heard what was said and then responds back. Now, as a facilitator, what's your job? And what do you do when the discussion kind of stalls? There's a quiet moment, which could happen, especially with little ones, when they're not accustomed to this. So you might have in your hand some pat questions, such as, do you agree what he just said? Do you disagree? Why might you agree? Why might you disagree? Or can you clarify what you just said? Can you give an example to justify your argument? So there's some pat questions that you might have just to keep the dialogue going. If it stalls, then go on to the next question. Now, how would you begin your first session? You know, it's fairly easy for a teacher to come up and do something completely new with her class. And say, guys, we're going to start something completely new. We haven't done this any time prior to this. And because there's a rapport between the children and the teacher, it's fairly easy to do that. But you and I, we're not the classroom teacher. Chances are this is the first time that we meet these children and they meet us. We're a complete stranger. We're actually a guest. So how do we do that? Well, you're going to need to do something that feels good to you. Don't walk in my shoes, because you won't be able to do it no more than I can walk in your shoes. But if it was something that I did here in Switzerland, I would go into the classroom. First, I would wait till I was introduced by the teacher. I would smile at the children. I would tell them who I am and why I'm here. I would say something along the lines, my name is Marcia Banks. I'm a former teacher. But more importantly, right now, I'm a volunteer with We Need Trees. And I've come to realize recently that I knew really very little about trees. Yeah, you're kind of smiling at me. Yeah, I know what trees are. I know we get wood from trees. I know we build houses from trees. I know that as a child I would climb up the trees and play around with the trees, but I'm just realizing there's so much more about trees that I didn't know about. And for this reason, I think that trees are essential for our survival. And so I'm here to explore with you some of those ideas and what we can do, maybe together, to maintain what we have right now, our trees. But you select something that feels good for you. Now you might say, well, okay, now you're in there, and how do you go about sharing a book or starting this dialogical discourse? Well, at that point I've introduced myself, and I said, well, I suggest that we get ourselves in a circle, and then I come up with our rules. We agree on our rules. I said that it'll be a lot nicer if I am able to call you by name, so I might give them a sheet of paper, ask them to write their name, put it in front of them. If they're very young kids, I might start with a warm-up on what is it to ask a question. So I might come with a toothbrush. I put the toothbrush in front, in the middle of the circle. My kids are going to kind of giggle, the toothbrush. I said, okay, now we're going to first play a game. And the game is to help us ask questions. Because when we're together, one of the things we're going to do is ask questions of one another. So you have a toothbrush, and you give them an example. So you're going to ask the toothbrush a question, and we'll go around in a circle. So I'll start. Might pick up the toothbrush and say, hey, toothbrush, why do you find it so interesting to go in and clean those disgusting teeth? And you pass it on to someone else. What question could you ask the toothbrush? The idea is to get them to ask the question, hopefully creative ones. You might, if it's not a toothbrush, it could be a shoe, or it could be a bag. Where'd you come from, bag? Why do they call you a bag? So after you do that, it's kind of a warm-up type of thing. And you tell them, okay, today I brought a book. I brought a book that maybe you're familiar with. It's a book about a tree. But more importantly, it's a book about a relationship of a boy who grows into a man and the stages of his life and his relationship with the tree. Now, you as a facilitator, you might be familiar with this book, but it's a great way to get kids to start thinking about ethical questions, and ethical questions tied in with nature. So we're not talking specifically about trees, but we're talking here about compassion, about trust, about hope, about happiness, about when do we use things? When are we in a positive relationship and when are we in a destructive type of relationship? So with the children, I would start out with the book, and with them, I would do my best to keep the book open so that they can see the pictures. Little children love to see pictures. So I would open the book and do my best of reading it upside down or sideways. I'm going to go through this book probably more quickly than I would if I were reading this book to a group of young children. But this is just to give you the idea of what I would do. Once there was a tree. And she loved a little boy. You see the little boy's coming over here. You can see him walk up to the tree. And every day the boy would come. And he would gather her leaves. And make them into crowns and play king of the forest. He would climb up her trunk and swing from her branches and eat apples. And they would play hide and go seek. And when he was tired, he would sleep in her shade. And the boy loved the tree. And the tree was happy. But time went by, and the boy grew older, and the tree was often alone. Then one day the boy came to the tree, and the tree said, "Come, boy, come and climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and eat apples and play in my shade and be happy." "I'm too big to climb and play," said the boy. "I want to buy things and have fun. I want some money. Can you give me some money?" "I'm sorry," said the tree, "but I have no money. I only have leaves and apples." "But take my apples, boy, and sell them in the city. Then you will have money and you will be happy." And so the boy climbed up the tree and gathered her apples and carried them away. And the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time. And the tree was sad. Then one day the boy came back and the tree shook with joy, and she said, "Hey, come, boy, climb up my trunk and swing from my branches and be happy." "I'm too busy to climb trees," said the boy. "I want a house to keep warm," he said. "I want a wife and I want children, and I need a house. Can you give me a house?" "I have no house," said the tree. "The forest is my house. But you may cut off my branches and build a house, and then you'll be happy." And so the boy cut off her branches and carried them away and built his house. And the tree was happy. But the boy stayed away for a long time. And when he came back. The tree was so happy she could hardly speak. "Come, boy," she whispered, "come and play." "I'm too old and sad to play," said the boy. "I want a boat that will take me far away from here. Can you give me a boat?" "Well, cut down my trunk and make a boat," said the tree. "Then you could sail away and be happy." And so the boy cut down a trunk and made the boat and sailed away. And the tree was happy, but not really. And after a long time, the boy came back again. "I'm sorry, boy," said the tree, "but I have nothing left to give you. My apples are gone." "My teeth are too weak for apples," said the boy. "My branches are gone," said the tree. "You cannot swing on them." "I'm too old to swing on branches," said the boy. "My trunk is gone," said the tree. "You cannot climb." "Too tired to climb," said the boy. "I'm sorry," sighed the tree. "I wish that I could give you something, but I have nothing left. I am just an old stump. I am sorry." "I don't need very much," said the boy. "Just a quiet place to sit and rest. I am very tired." "Well," said the tree, straightening herself up so much as she could. "Well, an old stump is good for sitting and resting. Come, boy, sit down. Sit down and rest." And the boy did. And the tree was happy. The end. Now, do you think the tree in the beginning really loved the boy? Why do you think that? Do you think the boy in the beginning really loved the tree? Why do you think that? Do you think that you could be angry with someone you love if they left you for a very long time? Why? If you were the tree, do you think you would be really happy if the boy cut down your branches and cut down your trunk? Why did the tree say she was happy? Or why did the story say the tree was happy? So these are the kinds of questions you could entertain with the children. Stop your discussion before it gets too drawn out. It's better to start short and for everybody to enjoy what they're doing than to drag it up too much. And then to close the session, you would say, "Okay, well, thank you. We've had a lovely discussion. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Any comments you'd like to add based on some of the other things? What other questions might you be interested in asking the next time? What went well during this session? What did you like about this session?" So ask them a few questions to bring some closure to it, and then thank them for this opportunity. Tell them again why you're here. I'm here to explore with you what trees can bring to us. And I look forward to coming back, give them the time, the day, to continue dialoguing with you or to doing an activity with you based on what your plans are in the future. I hope this is helpful. Thank you very much.